Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The global death toll from the coronavirus has topped 120,000 with over 1.9 million confirmed cases. The United States represents by far the largest percentage of known cases with over 587,000 and also leads in the death toll, which is nearing 24,000. Here in New York, the statewide death toll has topped 10,000 as total confirmed cases near 200,000, over half of these in New York City. Latinx people represent 34% of those who have died of coronavirus in New York City, the highest death toll in the city, while African-American residents account for 28% of deaths. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said despite the rising death toll and the high number of current hospitalizations, around 19,000, other indicators of the outbreak's progress, such as daily death toll and new hospitalized patients, appear to be leveling off. Cuomo warned the trend could easily start to reverse if New Yorkers ease up on social distancing and quarantining measures. Despite the glimmers of hope, New York City hospitals say they continue to be stretched to their limits. The news outlet The City reports nurses at the public Bellevue Hospital have been told to sign forms falsely stating they're trained in certain types of care in order to compensate for staff and equipment shortages. At least 50 Department of Education employees have died from the coronavirus in New York City, including 21 public school teachers. Over the weekend, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said schools will remain closed until the fall, but was quickly undercut by Governor Cuomo, who said the decision was not yet made, leaving millions of students, teachers, and parents in the country's largest school district in the dark about their situation. In neighboring New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy warned cases were still surging, and New Jersey faces a severe shortage of tests. Nearly 2,500 COVID-19 deaths and 65,000 infections have been reported in New Jersey. The National Guard has been deployed to a veterans home in Paramus, New Jersey, where 37 deaths in recent weeks are believed to be caused by COVID-19. A state-run nursing home in Menlo Park, New Jersey, has reported at least 14 deaths. Hospitals at other coronavirus hotspots around the country are also reporting dire conditions as they deal with a surge in critically sick patients. In Detroit, photos obtained by CNN from an emergency room worker at Sinai Grace Hospital show bodies of people who've died of COVID-19 being stored in vacant hospital rooms piled on top of each other inside refrigerated holding units in the parking lot. The photos are from early April when hospital staff say they were treating between 100 and 130 patients at a time. In Virginia, an evangelical pastor who defied stay-at-home orders to hold packed services died of COVID-19. Bishop Gerald Glenn told his congregation March 22nd, quote, "I firmly believe that God is larger than this dreaded virus. You can quote me on that," he said. On Guam, a sailor from the coronavirus-stricken USS Theodore Roosevelt died Monday of COVID-19-related complications. It's the first death from COVID-19 among the ship's crew. The vessel's captain, Brett Crozier, was removed from his post after he wrote a memo pleading for help as his crew started testing positive for the coronavirus. Nearly 600 sailors from the ship have tested positive since evacuating. In Chicago, ProPublica reports at least 19 children and 2 staff have tested positive for COVID-19 at a Heartland Alliance facility for immigrant youth, making it the largest coronavirus outbreak inside a facility for unaccompanied minors in the United States. In other news from Chicago, residents of the predominantly Mexican and Latinx neighborhood of Little Village may file a lawsuit after a city-ordered implosion at a closed power plant this weekend filled the entire neighborhood with thick dust as local officials tried to combat the coronavirus outbreak. The dust then settled on homes, vehicles, and other structures, with residents fearing this could worsen the health of people with respiratory illnesses, including residents who may have contracted coronavirus. A group of northeastern states, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Rhode Island, said Monday they're developing a coordinated plan to end coronavirus lockdowns and reopen schools and businesses. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker became the first Republican to join the effort when he announced later Monday he had joined the discussions. On the West Coast, California, Washington, and Oregon say they'll create a similar framework. Trump lashed out following the announcement and declared he has the power to override governors.
The President of the United States calls the shots. If we weren't here for the states, you would have had a problem in this country like you've never seen before.
There's a debate over what authority you have to order the country reopened. What authority do you have?
Well, I have the ultimate authority.
Trump also said Monday he would reopen the country, quote, based on a lot of facts and a lot of instincts. At the start of his Monday coronavirus press briefing, Trump showed a campaign-style video defending his response to the pandemic, an apparent response to recent reporting he gravely mishandled the early days of the crisis. Trump clashed with CBS reporter Paula Reed when questioned about reports of his early inaction.
You bought yourself some time. You didn't use it to prepare hospitals. You didn't use it to ramp up testing. Right now, nearly 20 million people
disgraceful.
are unemployed.
It's so disgraceful the way you say that.
What did you do with the time that you bought?
Look. You know you're a fake. You know that. Your whole network, the way you cover it, is fake.
Meanwhile, President Trump's expected to formally announce his counsel to reopen America. On Monday, Fox News reported members include his chief of staff, the former right-wing Congressman Mark Meadows, Ivanka Trump, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, and Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, none of whom are experts in medicine, science, or public health. Wilbur Ross previously said the pandemic would boost the U.S. job market. Last month, Larry Kudlow declared the coronavirus was contained shortly before the states around the country started to shut down. Senator Bernie Sanders has endorsed former Vice President Joe Biden for president. Senator Sanders made the announcement in a joint video stream with Biden Monday, 5 days after he suspended his own campaign.
Today, I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse, to make certain that we defeat somebody who I believe, and I'm speaking just for myself now, is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country.
Biden and Sanders said they're creating joint task forces on key issues, including health care, the economy, and the climate crisis. In other news about Joe Biden, executive editor of the New York Times, Dean Baquet, defended the paper's decision to wait over 2 weeks to report on Tara Reade's sexual assault allegation against then-Senator Biden, saying reporters needed time to investigate the story. The story was published Sunday, just days after Bernie Sanders dropped out of the Democratic primary. Baquet also said the New York Times deleted a key phrase in the piece referencing past instances of sexual misconduct by Biden after his campaign objected to it. To see Democracy Now!'s interview with Tara Reade, you can go to democracynow.org. In related news, Joe Biden has won the Wisconsin primary. The results came in nearly a week after voters risked their health amidst the coronavirus outbreak to cast their ballots, after state Republicans and the right-leaning Wisconsin State Supreme Court quashed efforts by Democratic Governor Tony Evers to delay in-person voting. Thousands of voters won't even have their votes counted, as the state was unable to cope with the influx of demand for mail-in ballots, and the U.S. Supreme Court refused to extend the absentee deadline. Another highly anticipated race, Wisconsin liberal judge Jill Karofsky defeated Republican-backed incumbent Daniel Kelly for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Kelly was appointed by former Governor Scott Walker. Karofsky's win means Wisconsin's highest court will now have a 4-3 conservative lean instead of 5-2. Observers say the Wisconsin justices refused to delay last week's race in hopes that a lower turnout would favor the conservative candidate, the incumbent. France is extending its coronavirus lockdown another 4 weeks until May 11th. President Emmanuel Macron announced the extension in a televised address.
Étions-nous préparés à cette crise?
Were we ready for this crisis? Clearly not ready enough. But we have faced up to it. In France, as everywhere, we had to, because of the emergency, take decisions which were difficult, based on the fragmentary information which was often changed. We had to adapt constantly.
France has reported over 136,000 cases and close to 15,000 coronavirus deaths. Britain is also expected to extend its lockdown into May. Turkey could soon release tens of thousands of prisoners as part of measures to reduce overcrowding and curb the spread of the coronavirus. Critics of authoritarian President Recep Tayyip Erdogan called out the move for excluding journalists and political opponents who are in prison as part of Erdogan's crackdown on opposition. Turkey's reported 61,000 cases and 1,300 deaths from the coronavirus. In Bolivia, activists are calling for the release of Afro-Bolivian union leader Elena Flores, who has been behind bars for over a month. Supporters say Flores, the first woman and first Afro-Bolivian leader of the local coca leaf growers union, was targeted as part of a crackdown on social movements and indigenous groups by the government of the right-wing interim president Janine Áñez, who took power after the ouster last year of President Evo Morales. A letter signed by over 160 groups, academics, trade unions and activists around the world is also calling for the release of Maria Eugenia Choque Quispe, the president of the Supreme Electoral Board, who's accused by the Áñez regime of committing fraud, and Patricia Hermosa, an indigenous woman and the lawyer of former President Morales. Tensions are flaring in the disputed region of Kashmir as Indian and Pakistani troops traded fire in recent days, killing at least 3 civilians Sunday. Indian police say Pakistani shelling killed them, while the Pakistani military accused Indian forces of wounding at least 6 people all the day before. Human rights groups warn the coronavirus lockdown in Kashmir, imposed just weeks after a months-long security lockdown started to be scaled back, risks further violating civil liberties in the region. And in legal news, the U.S. Supreme Court will begin hearing oral arguments via teleconference next month for the first time in the court's history. Justices will hear cases that were postponed in March and April due to the coronavirus outbreak, including arguments around Trump's attempts to shield his tax returns and financial documents from lawmakers and a New York prosecutor.